Hello and welcome back to Star Citizen Game Version 4.1. My name is Evenlease, and today on 10 Minutes, more or less ship review, right behind me, the Anvil Valkyrie. Let's go ahead and take a look. Welcome back to another review. Today, the Anvil Valkyrie. This ship has had a lot of changes since the last time I took a look at it. Now, before I start, I just want to say thank you for being here, and thank you for joining the organization. We've been having a blast. It's just been so much fun, and there's been so many people on every day on the Discord, and I just cannot wait to see it to continue growing. It's just been so much fun. And today, they were here helping me with this review, taking a look at the team right here. Fantastic work. Thank you to every one of you that helped, which I'll make sure your names are here. And thank you so much. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this ship and what has changed. The Anvil Valkyrie, it is $375 if you were to buy it on the Pledge Store. A pretty hefty cost, or you can buy it in game for $19,845,000 aUEC in the city of Area 18 on ArcCorp. So pretty okay price. I mean, it has a major dropship tax to it, at least that's what it's called, in the realm of Star Citizen, just because of what it can do for you. And now there's been a massive amount of upgrades to it, which actually helps it compete with a lot of ships, including the all-famous Constellation series. Now, does it compete like fully? Not as much, like on the damage and everything, but it's doing a lot better than it was before. So let's take a look at that. This ship is 38 meters in width, 48 meters in length, and 12 meters high. So it's not the smallest drop ship, but it is not that large either. So when you're going into a drop zone, you're not going to be a needle in a haystack, but you'll be fine. Now, taking a look at the claim time, it is 19 minutes and 49 seconds, or if you were to expedite that, it goes down to 4 minutes and 58 seconds. That's a pretty good claim time if you get taken out and you need to get your ship back so you can go pick up the crew that you just dropped off. It won't take too long to get the ship back into the air, per se. Now, this ship before only had about 560 damage per second for the pilot. Now that's been changed. The front guns are still size 3, and thus 2 size 3 CF337 Panthers, but they upped the size of the wingtip guns to size 4 CF447 Rhinos, and gave the pilot control of them as long as nobody's in the remote turret seats. So that is amazing. The pilot now has control of 4 weapons, outputting 1,404 pilot damage per second, which is quite phenomenal if you're asking me. Now, there's no missiles on this ship, so that's a little bit of a miss. It's just too bad. I know it's a drop ship, but before you go into a target, it's nice to put down that big barrage of missiles, either on, an aircraft, spacecraft, the ground targets, whatever you need to do. It's just too bad there's not like a missile pod on the top that would launch a nice little barrage beforehand. But you do have 2 manned turrets, all housing CF337 Panthers, so that adds 4 of those guns, and then you have 2 door guns, 1 on each side of the ship, housing a GT210 ballistic Gatling gun, which is pretty cool. So we'll take a look at that here in just a second. Now, I'll be honest with you, during some hot drops with the crew, this ship had a big problem, and it's kind of like, well, is it going to affect you, or does it depend on how you drop into a hot zone, right? A battleground. Are you going to drop a little ways away? You won't have as much of a problem, but if you're dropping right into the center of a conflict, this is where this ship might struggle, and that's because, well, first, you have 18,960 bubble shield. That's not terrible at all, and that's 4 size 2 shield generators. But when you lose your shield or you're getting shot at by ballistics, you're down to 44,053 ship HP, which for a dropship and a military dropship by that fact, that's pretty bad, especially if you were to compare it to something like a Terrapin, which is, not that big, but it's only a 1-seat ship, or 2 seats technically, and it has over 130,000 health. Now this ship, I wish it had a bit more health on it, because then it would make sense going into a combat zone or even near a conflict zone. But now you can do a lot more than just the drop ship portion with this ship. So what can you do? You can do package deliveries, you can do cargo, you can definitely do drop ship activities. You just got to be wary about where, but you can definitely do that. And you can now do quite a few bounties with this ship, given the upped firepower, which is pretty cool. Now, outside of that, this ship has a top SCM speed of 207 with a 431 forward boost, a 245 backwards boost with a top nav speed of 1,110. Now, your maneuverability, it's just pretty terrible. Surprising, even with all these different engines and the way that they VTOL, your maneuverability sits at a 34, 29, 98 pitch yaw roll. So you're not going to be moving in any direction too quick. It feels really floaty, and that's just kind of too bad, but you can't have, good things in all areas, I guess, right? Now, if you boost that, it is a 41, 35, 118, and that's, not bad, but you run out of boost pretty quick, so something to consider there. Now, you do have 94.5 SCUs of hydrogen fuel and 1.8 SCU of quantum fuel. Again, not terrible, because this is a combat dropship, so you're going to be taking off from a station, a base, or a carrier, going into a battle zone and then coming back. You're not looking to take multi-system jumps and then getting to your, hot zone. So that is something to consider. There is a short distance battle drop ship, and that's about it. But then again, it could be a short distance pizza runner. So, however you want to use it, right? Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the interior. Before I do, I'm going to start you off right here at the door. This is one of your side doors, which you can absolutely enter. If you're to press spacebar here, you can jump up and then jump up again. A little sword, side gun right there is hiding away. Once you activate that, it comes out just a little bit, but it still stays pretty hidden. Pretty interesting. Now, if you go to the back of the ship, this is your primary ramp here, where you can absolutely fit people in, or any sort of vehicles that you want to get in here. Now, you can't carry certain size vehicles. You can carry a Nursa and smaller, which is pretty nice, but nothing like a Ballista, nothing like a Tonk, nothing like a Storm. None of those will fit in here. It is all smaller vehicles. But this room got a big upgrade, and let's talk about that. Before, you could fit 30 SCU of cargo here. Now, you can fit 90 SCU of cargo here. You can fit up to 90 SCU of cargo in this cargo room. That is fantastic. What a big upgrade for a ship that's not even meant to deliver cargo technically, other than people, unless you count that as cargo. But that cargo usually shoots as they leave the ship, right? Now, here is a nice little fire extinguisher when we do get that, multi-crew gameplay in. And then if you make your way over here, you have one of your other side door guns where you can grab the gun and use that. And you have yourself, if you open that, storage lockers. Pretty nice. Storage is very accessible here as well as over here. So good amount of storage. And then you have your drop seats, which you have a total of 20 of them. 5 here, 5 there, and 10 more over here. Now, each one of these rooms does have a fire extinguisher. And then in between each seat, you can place a rifle right here, right over here, here. I mean, it's got plenty of areas to put a gun. So even if you're not using this ship technically as a drop seat, you can load this thing up with, 20, 25 guns and just have a blast, right? Now, if you make your way a little bit further in, you do have a little bit more component areas. Some of these components are not accessible at this time, so not a full components or gold standard pass, which is too bad. And then you have a turret access point right here, which should lead you to the bottom turret. Now, once you get in that, it takes you on down, and you can operate one of those CF-337 Panthers, which is pretty nice. Now, let's go ahead and take a look up here. If you go up this ladder, now this is what I consider the death trap room, because when you enter this room, I'll be honest with you, it should be spaced off from here to the cargo room. This should be either like a glass, a plexi, something that just makes it airtight between the two rooms, because if there's any sort of breach there, you are going to be dragged straight out from here all the way through the metal bars and out there. So that would not be comfortable at all. Now you do have a couple beds for your crew, so you could technically go on a little bit longer distance trips, even though your fuel tanks don't agree with you. You do have some bed space here and over there, as well as your top turret access. You can go ahead and enter that right there. And more components kind of scattered around above areas, below areas, kind of nice. And of course, these are just fantastic little death trap beds, right? You're sleeping, breach, and you get sucked right on out the back. Now over here, you do have a restroom with a toilet and a fire extinguisher and a nice little sink with no operating mirror at this time, but you know, someday. Now I'm going to go ahead and leave that restroom and leave that alone for the rest of this time. We got ourselves the 2 remote turret seats. This one here goes to the right wing. This one goes to the left wing. So if you really aren't certain about the pilot controlling those guns, you can definitely have other people do so. Now here is the pilot seat, which you can close this door, at least allowing them not to get sucked out of the ship, right? Even though typically you're strapped in when you're in a chair like this. But when you enter the pilot seat, you do have a pretty good view out the window here, as long as I'm not looking down at my lap there. And yeah, it's a pretty decent view. You got a very good overhead view to the side, and then you got a couple MFDs here in front of you, but your power system's a little lacking. So it takes a lot. When you're in gun mode, SCM mode, you can't have full operational systems on here. Even with your coolers completely disabled, you're still not going to be able to fill everything, which is just too bad, but that is where that is. Now, taking a look at this ship. Honestly, it's an 82 out of 100 due to the fact that it had a massive firepower increase, allowing the pilot to control those guns, but no missiles. So a little bit of a dock there. And then you just kind of lose some points for your ship HP, a little bit of points here and there, nothing too bad. And then your flare and decoy, not so good either because it's a combat dropship, yet you're sitting here with 42 flares or only a couple decoys. It's just terrible, absolutely terrible. So with that, an 82 out of 100. Let me know what you think of the Valkyrie down below. Are you excited for the new upgrades that this ship has had? Even the shield strength went up a bit since I last reviewed it. I mean, it went up a good like 6,000, so that's fantastic. Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one.